During the interview, he talked a lot about wanting to get back to work, being offered the England job, and needing to clean house at Manchester United. This is what he said about that.
Before you buy new furniture, you need to clean the house. So I was more about cleaning the house than buying new furniture. And we didn't clean it the way I wanted. I wanted to clean from the second season, and we couldn't for different reasons. We couldn't. I cannot say that I was asking for A, B, C, or D in the third season because was not right. I just knew because was the third season. I knew clearly what I didn't want there, in terms of the individuals, in terms of the profiles. I knew clearly what I didn't want, but didn't happen. And sometimes in football you have to accept that. I accepted that, and I tried my best. But I knew exactly the deep problems that we had there, and in the third season, the manifestation of these problems were more clear.
So this is the third season he was talking about at Manchester United, where he obviously had a couple of rather positive campaigns as the Manchester United boss. But this third one, he wanted to change the profile of the squad, wanted to get certain players out, and was concerned about not being able to do so, which left him in a terrible mood. He was in a right funk towards the end of that campaign. Well, not the end of that campaign, the end of his tenure. It came to an end in December. And I remember it clearly. I remember being around it at the time, and it was like there was a huge sort of storm cloud all over the football club. But he... Subsequently, some of the things that he has said about his tenure at Manchester United and some of the things that he has said about what he achieved at Manchester United have been proved to be true, haven't they? I mean, the fact that it was a miracle that he got his team to second, bearing in mind the squad that they had and the resources.
The best ever, wasn't it, result he claimed that he ever got in a
yeah,
league.
He was big on it, yeah.
I mean, obviously Mourinho is... We know he's been an amazing manager. I think it was more a case of everywhere he went, he was, 2 or 3 years. It seemed to do the same, didn't he? Inter Milan, at Chelsea, everywhere. He'd go in, quick fix. But I think it was more to do with his behaviour, more to do with his manner, that almost became untenable at Manchester United. I remember listening to him talking about Luke Shaw and saying, well, he's fine when he plays on the near side, next to the touchline, next to the dugout, but when he goes to the opposite side, I'm not there alongside him, and he doesn't know where to be, he doesn't know what positions to take up.
That was just a motivating tactic, wasn't it? At the end, at
the end of the day,
Luke Shaw maybe needed that.
Are you kidding me? That you're a player who gets to that stage and a manager talks about you in that way.
Well, he would know. He's been in many dressing rooms. He knows how to deal with big-name players. He's won Champions Leagues galore and he's won leagues galore.
I don't think there's much way back, is there, for a player when a manager talks like that?
Well, he's had a reasonably good career as a result.
I just think sometimes he's too honest. He says too much. He tries to create storms, doesn't he? He goes in, that quick-fix manager. I mean, he set fire to the furniture, didn't he? Really, he's saying about changing.
Maybe that was the only way to do it, bearing in mind that he's already complained that the executives that were above him were nice people, but not good enough to be able to handle a club the size of Manchester United.
Well, I mean, maybe the question should have been asked to name names. Who were the players that he felt should have been jettisoned out of the football club when he went there? I mean, he brought Pogba in and then wanted him out, or he appeared to want him out. He had Martial there, Rashford there. These guys are all still there. Ibrahimovic came in. I think Jones was there, Phil Jones. Smalling, of course, he took to Roma. So who's he talking about? Who's he referring to? The players that he wanted to get out of the football club.
The Pogba thing was a bit of a problem, wasn't it? And the reason it was a problem was because I think that the club itself felt that it was important to have a big franchise star come into the group. They came in in the same summer, Pogba and Mourinho, but clearly it wasn't working between the two of them towards the end of his reign, and I think he probably wanted him to move on.
Well, it's a thing. Respect, isn't it? It seemed about egos between the two of them. I did think he went down the Chelsea route. He brought Lukaku and Matic in, obviously players that he'd worked with before. Although Lukaku was a player allowed to leave after missing a penalty in the Super Cup. So it's I think by and large, you look back, he did well there to win the number of trophies that he did. Of course, in the third year, though, it appeared as if he wanted out.
Well, bearing in mind that Manchester United then went on another period where they didn't win very much, up until Erik ten Hag's arrival, was he not right in what he said about the place needed a complete cleanse? Because isn't that what we've been saying for the last little while. And isn't Jim Radcliffe now embarking on that? I mean, the papers are full of it today. You know, wants a new Old Trafford in 5 years, ambition to host England matches at Wembley of the North, 5-star hotel, United theme attracting, no big spending spree on new players. They're all doing the same thing now, aren't they? They're changing the whole culture of the club.
So
new sporting director, new recruitment processes.
So if we say then in the third year that he kind of fell from those standards in terms of the sort of
because he's arguing that he's had enough.
Was that because he'd thrown his toys out of the cot a little bit in terms of okay, I didn't get what I want, but I still would like to know who these players are that he felt were toxic within the building. And maybe the judgment.
I think his accusation is that maybe he should have been given more power to do what he needed to do to get that club right. Bearing in mind he was the only one probably in that building at the time with the experience of running football.
Yeah, but he had his opportunity, didn't he? He had his opportunity to get it right. He maybe could have tried a slightly different way.
Didn't.
But it was his way or kind of the highway, and it seemed at the end that he was like pushing to be sacked.
So you don't think that Manchester United missed an opportunity by handing him control of football matters at that time, wanting more control at that time?
They did give him an element of control. That's why he was, reasonably successful. But he just couldn't get everything he wanted. No,
he came in and did a very good job for 2 years with the players that were already there largely. I mean, he only signed, one or two big-name players.
Does it sound to you that he's canvassing to get back there?
It sounds to me that he's definitely canvassing to get something, yeah. I mean, the reason that he's doing this interview isn't because he wants to twiddle his thumbs. He's advertising his services, isn't he?
Yeah, but then I think the next time if we were to give him that opportunity, then maybe we should treat some of the players with a bit more respect. I mean, I think what you should do, always go in with the idea that I'll treat every player as if he's my son.
How do you know that
he hasn't?
And
I don't think you
say
say those sorts of things about Luke Shaw.
But some players are absolutely devoted to him. Listen, whenever I've met him, he's always been incredibly polite and never rude. But I know that there are other people that have had bad experiences with him. Yeah. It depends on maybe how it is that you're interacting with him. Maybe he is rather demanding. Maybe he is over the top.
We're told that the Chelsea players who had him in the first time around said it was a very different Mourinho that came into the building second time. And it's maybe difficult, isn't it, to not get ahead of yourself, your head to not get too big when you've been incredibly successful, as maybe he has been. And if he came back, it would be a box office if he came back to Manchester United, but I don't somehow think he's going to get that opportunity.
No. What about the England job, though? Because he was offered that as well, apparently.
I could be that coach in the national team. Also yours.
Imagine, we would have won something. If you was the coach, we would have won something.
I had it there on the table.
No way.
Yeah?
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Why did you sign? Why did you say no?
Because I'm still there a little bit. I didn't because I had always the national team job as something that I wouldn't enjoy. So Chelsea was 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8. Was 7, 8? I think was when Mr. Capello got the job.
That was Jose Mourinho saying that after Steve McLaren was dismissed as the England manager, he had the opportunity to become the England boss. Rio Ferdinand was pretty forthright. He said England would have won something if Mourinho had been in charge. Do you subscribe to that?
Well, I certainly think Mourinho was in his prime then, and in his pomp. And I think that's when he was absolutely different class when he first came into Chelsea. Of course, he had the financial resources, and he wrestled away, didn't he, a lot of control from Arsenal at that point, with Lampard, Terry, certainly being really big players for England that would have gone on he could have worked with. Maybe a missed opportunity, but I don't know if it was enough for him at the time because he was...
That's his suggestion, isn't it?
Yeah, and I get it. Maybe now it's... but has he still got that magic? Has he still got that, magic touch that you need? I think he had it then. Maybe.
It sounds like you're writing him off now.
No, I don't think we should ever write him off. I think if he gets it right, I think if he's stable and he's able to go and he's still got the fire in his belly. It was interesting reading something that he said this week when he said that if he doesn't work, he gets depressed. So that's about him, isn't it? Working with himself. Because he's done an amazing job over many, many years. I mean, to be honest, you look at the number of years he's managed. We're talking here about stress for managers. We're looking at Klopp, aren't we, now, saying it's too much, he's got to step out. Not a bit of it for Mourinho. He's still got a point to prove. I just feel that he just seemed to overstep the mark a little bit. Maybe with the right people around him, he can be successful again. I'm sure he can.
Do you think that he could be the
He's had a lot of chances,
after Gareth Southgate? Do you think he could replace Gareth Southgate as the England boss?
I'm not sure that's where the FA will go. I'm not sure they go in that direction. I think it would be very different, wouldn't it, for them to... Because I think Gareth is very stable, very solid, very consistent in the way that he behaves. I don't quite see it. I mean, do you know what? The players now, though, that Gareth Southgate is collecting together, it's just fantastic, isn't it? I was just watching Foden the other night. What a brilliant player he is. And we're now saying, OK, is Saka going to play out wide? Where can Foden play? You know, Bellingham, of course, in that midfield. Harry Kane, look what he's doing. I know he had a difficult week, maybe, but those guys, what they're doing.
You're waffling on about the England squad now.
I am because
Jose Mourinho.
Jose Mourinho can see, can't he? Look at the riches that are there now. But Gareth's been at that fruit machine for a long time, and he wants to press that collect button. He doesn't want to just jump out of the way and let somebody else come and take all the money.
Well, let's hope that he doesn't. Let's hope he cashes out during the European Championships. We'll find out over the summer, and we'll see what happens to Jose Mourinho as well.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.